You have tried to break this habit before? You know you have. And every time you go back to it, the shame that follows is heavier than it was the last time. Not because you are weak, not because you lack willpower, but because nobody ever showed you how habits actually work inside the brain. And here is what nobody in the self-help space is willing to admit. Everything science knows about breaking habits was discovered by studying one animal, an animal most people would never expect. And what that animal revealed will completely change how you approach the habit you are trying to leave behind. The rat is not a glamorous animal, but it is the most important animal in the entire history of habit research. Every major discovery about how habits form, how addiction takes hold, and how behavioral loops are broken came from studying rats, not humans, rats. Here is what most people never knew. Scientists placed rats in two different environments. One was isolated, empty, and unstimulating. The other was rich with social connection, play, variety, and purpose. Both groups were given access to the same addictive substances. The rats in the isolated environment consumed the substances compulsively. They could not stop. The rats in the enriched environment barely touched them. Same substance, same rats, completely different outcomes. The difference was not willpower. It was never willpower. It was the life around the habit. That discovery changed everything scientists thought they knew about why habits win and how they lose. And it changes everything you need to know about yours. Your habit is not stronger than you. It is just living in better conditions than you are. Here is what that means and what to do about it. Principle 1. The habit is not the problem. The environment is. In the isolated environment, the rat pressed the lever for the substance thousands of times a day. Not because it wanted to destroy itself, because there was nothing else. No connection, no stimulation, no purpose. The substance was the only available relief from an environment that offered nothing else. Remove the isolation. Add connection and purpose. The lever stops being pressed, not because the substance changed, because the life around it did. Behavioral science has consistently confirmed that environment is the most powerful driver of habitual behavior. More powerful than intention, more powerful than motivation. The conditions around a habit feed it more reliably than any personal weakness ever could. Look at the environment your habit lives in. When does it happen? Where does it happen? What are you feeling when it starts? Identify one condition that reliably leads to the habit. Then change that one condition today. Not all of them. 1. The rat did not need more willpower. It needed a different environment. So do you. Principle 2. Identify the cue. The habit cannot fire without it. Scientists studying rats mapped something that changed how the world understands habits. They discovered that every habitual behavior follows an exact sequence. A cue triggers a routine. The routine produces a reward, and the brain files the whole sequence as one automatic response. The next time the cue appears, the routine fires before any conscious thought occurs. The habit is not a choice by the time it happens. It is an automatic response to a signal the brain learned to recognize. Neuroscience has confirmed that habits are stored in the brain as complete packages. Cue, routine, reward, all wired together. You cannot remove the routine without first identifying the cue, because the cue is what activates the entire sequence. Disrupt the cue and the routine never fires. Write down the last 3 times the habit happened. What came immediately before each one? A feeling, a place, a time of day, a person. Look for the pattern. That pattern is your cue. And the cue is where the habit actually lives. Not in the moment of doing, in the moment just before. Change what happens at the cue, and the habit loses its trigger. Principle 3, replace the routine, never just remove it. The rats in the isolation experiment did not stop pressing the lever because scientists told them to stop. They stopped because something better was now available. Connection, play, stimulation, purpose. The brain did not create a vacuum. It found a better route to the same reward. The reward the habit was providing, relief, stimulation, comfort, escape, did not disappear. It got redirected towards something that did not destroy the rat. Psychology has consistently shown that removing a behavior without replacing it almost always fails. The brain does not tolerate emptiness. When a habit disappears without a replacement, the brain searches for something to fill the space it occupied, and it almost always returns to what it already knows. Replacement is not optional. It is the mechanism of change. Identify what your habit is actually giving you, not what it is costing you. What reward is it providing? Relief from stress, escape from boredom, a feeling of control, a moment of pleasure. Find one alternative that provides the same reward without the destruction. Not a punishment dressed as a solution, a genuine replacement that actually works. The rat did not stop needing relief. It just found a better source of it. So can you. Principle 4. Connection is the most powerful force against any habit. This is the finding that changed everything. The rats in the enriched environment had one thing the isolated rats did not: each other. Genuine social connection, the kind that involves play, presence, and real engagement with other living things. And that connection alone was powerful enough to override one of the most addictive substances scientists could introduce. Not therapy, not rules, not willpower, connection. Research has consistently found that isolation is one of the strongest predictors of habitual and addictive behavior. The habit thrives in the silence between who you show the world and what you actually do when nobody sees. Connection does not just support habit change. It is one of the most reliable forces that makes destructive habits lose their grip entirely. Tell one person about the habit, not everyone. 1. Someone you genuinely trust. Not for formal accountability, but because the habit loses power the moment it is no longer a secret. The rats that stopped were the ones surrounded by others. You were not built to do this alone either, and the research is absolutely clear on that. 4 principles from the rat. Change the environment because the habit is living in better conditions than you are. Find the cue because the habit cannot fire without it. Replace the routine because the brain never tolerates a vacuum. And bring in connection because isolation is what the habit feeds on most. The rat did not break its habit through discipline or determination. It broke it because its life got better. That is the whole framework. Make your life better than your habit, and watch what happens. Subscribe to The Wild Principle. New principles from the natural world every week, and we are just getting started.